Welcome to Warrior Commission Now, where we talk about practical ways to live your commission with the Lord. And one of the things that really is important to Sharon and I as part of the Warrior Commission is helping people really live out their commission, to discover it, to live in it, to step into it, to be a part, to be aware of it. And Sharon and I are not the only ones that are part of the Warrior Commission. We have an incredible team. We have an incredible group of people. You guys right now are just seeing us, but there are many more that we hope to start bringing in various ways to these conversations. And so more to come. But one of the things that we really feel has been on our hearts has to do with this phrase, the time is now. And there's so many times, that I think we push stuff off and we say, oh, well, that's in the future, that's in the future, that's in the future. And barring a hold from the Lord, and separating out what is it that we fear that's causing us not to step into something that's our own personal hold, if you will. We have this opportunity to be present in the moment.
Yes.
And we have an opportunity to say, okay, the time is now. And Sharon, I think you wanted to maybe start us off with a verse from Colossians. Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and share that so that there's kind of a context for what we're talking about here.
So Colossians 1:16, for by him all things were created in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions, rulers or authorities. All things were created through him and for him. And he's in the all things. He's in the now. And he's in whatever you're in. And it's been fascinating to me how religion likes to, I don't know who's doing it. I'll say religion, but religion has a tendency to want to keep God in that box, in the religion box. Mm-hmm. But he's in everything, every single thing. He's in our jobs, he's in the concrete, he's in the trees, he's in the environment, he's in the weather. I personally watch a lot of Weather Channel and I'm going, they're not getting that God's in the middle of this. Anyway, they can't necessarily talk about it on their show, but he's in the middle of the all things, right? So
I think we could sum it up by saying God is omnipresent.
Yes, yes. And the time is now is for us. I think it's for us, but there's that verse from the story of Esther, for such a time as this. And I think it's a valid question to ask yourself, what is your this? Mm-hmm. What is your this? What are you in the middle of? Mm-hmm. And how can you invite God into your this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that for me, as part of my journey, I have been a believer. I've been, in that place of, calling myself a Christian for a very long time. But the journey was actually not compartmentalizing. God is here and, I'm over here and doing this, and I'm doing this for God. We've talked about the difference between for God and with God, and recognizing the partnership that God wants to have with us to see his purposes and plans fulfilled. For whatever reason, the sovereign God of the universe decided that he didn't want to do it on his own. He wanted to have us do this in relationship with him. And part of that is because in relationship with him, we learn to love him more. We learn his heart. We learn his ways. We learn his nature as we're on that journey in our relationship with him. And so when we realize that much of our training in the Western world has been more of a Greek mindset that's very linear and very compartmentalized, we realize, oh, that's not actually the way God intended for us to think about things. So when you look at the way the Hebrew culture interacted with God, God was in all things.
Right.
And so there is something to be gained, I think, by realizing that God is with us no matter what area of influence we're in, whether we're on the mountain of education or politics or oh, that's a big one. Or in the mountain of religion or the mountain of entertainment. There are 7 that people have identified. It's like the 7 dwarfs. There's always one I miss, but there's something that is important about us being in that place of recognizing God is with us in all things. So he's going with us to our job.
Right.
And
Right.
just because you've been shut down, let's say, you are honoring the requirements of your job,
Right.
by not having, a evangelism conference and on your desk. But that doesn't mean that you can't represent God. That doesn't mean that you can't talk about him in other ways. That doesn't mean that you don't bring him in ways that are still honoring to those who are in leadership, but also still honoring to what God has for us and in our hearts. And people will see you step into that. They will notice there's something different about you. The way you talk to people, the way you interact with people, the way you love greatly changes the environment around you. And there's something about being able to step into that idea that God is always with us. And he's not limited by people saying, God, you can't come in. He can still be there.
Yes. Yes.
And so it doesn't matter. I'm gonna tweak a few things here. It doesn't matter how good or bad the worship is. It doesn't matter how good or strong or weak the preaching is, or how powerful the message is. First of all, it's impossible to teach 52 life-changing messages a year. It's just not going to happen. But if God's in it, then what is it that God is speaking to your heart? What is he teaching you? Okay, so maybe you've been there, done that, and you know that message, but what else is he going to teach you about it? What's the next application he's going to take you into? How is it that you can represent him in a different way than you've represented him before in that job, in that hospital, in that park that you happen to be living in, or not living in, well, you may be living in it, but the park that you may be in at that time. So what is that? What is this time that God has you in? What is the now moment that he has, this Kairos moment that he has you in, where he has entered into your life, you have entered into his heart, and you are in that space of what is now, what is for now.
Yes. Yes. And I really do believe that we are going to see God show up in ways that he hasn't before, that it's almost as if he's coming in incognito. And so what if it's not as much about what we say, but the questions we are asked? What if it's more about how we partner with him under the radar, so to speak? And I think one of the things that Christine and I were throwing around was the question of, how are you being prompted by God? Do you even know you're being prompted by God? Right? That's a huge question. Or is it just being blamed on what I had for dinner last night, or the weather outside, or whatever, right? And there's so much adventure on hand when you partner with God and you're about influencing the world around you, on his terms, his timetable, his method. We did another call about being a kingdom influencer, and so much of it is about embracing the now, or embracing the time, and being willing to receive what God has for you. Because anytime he gives you something, he's going to give you an opportunity to give it away.
Exactly.
He pours in, and then we pour out. And what is possible in your partnership with him, in your friendship with him? How might Jesus want to take that phrase, what a friend I have in Jesus? There's an old hymn that and for years I'm like, he's a friend? What does that even mean. Anyway, and it's so fun to live life knowing that he is your friend.
Mm.
What's at hand for you in the current time, in your current now, um, in that friendship with God?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
thank you
Yeah.
guys for joining us
This is
today. This
awesome.
is,
Yeah.
yeah,
Go live in his now, not in your
yes.
now, not in the now of
Ooh,
the world. Go live in his now. And I think if we can learn to live in his now and learn what that looks like, I think that there will be all those things that are the desires of our heart that he's placed there, we'll see come to pass. And
yes.
that is, I think that is what all of us hope to see, those who follow the Lord, all of us hope to see what he desires come to pass. So live in his now, and you're going to find an amazing adventure. You're going to find an incredible empowerment, and you're going to find those incredible God stories and God kisses that he has for you in the moment by moment.
Yes. And if you want to be a part of a community that embraces that, check out the Warrior Commission. Our information, our website information is below this video post.
You guys have a great day and go live in his now.
Yes.